Hello, everybody. It's Fiona Lukes here, coming to you live for my Friday Live, which happens at approximately this time each and every Friday. It's Friday, the 16th of September, and I'm not in my normal spot today because I have been doing an intensive with a client. So I do these like retreats where clients come and work with me one-on-one for a number of days. So I've been working with a gentleman from Sydney. He's flown down to and staying not near where I work from, and he's spent 4 days with me. So he's on his final day. He came down with on Tuesday. We started on Tuesday morning, and we've been working together. We've been hiking, spending time together, going on beautiful walks, just doing all sorts of things, having chats. And he's been here now for 4 days. Today he's flying home this afternoon. So I am not in my normal spot doing my live with you because I'm working from the space where I've been, one of the places I've been meeting him from. So we just caught up this morning. We had a session this morning. He's out on a break. And so I'm doing my live with you guys whilst he's out on his break. So, I'm going to share with you some of the things that we've been looking at together, he and I, over these 4 days. And we've had a lovely time. We've like I said, we've gone on beautiful walks. There's the walks around here are gorgeous. The weather, the Melbourne has put on beautiful weather for him, and so we've really been able to get out amongst nature. I know when people get outside amongst nature, their mind slows down and they are a lot more grounded and they're able to absorb what we're talking about with more ease. So, we've just had this beautiful 4 days together. So I know some of you have just joining me live. So if you are, please feel free to say hi. I'd love to know where you are in the world, where you're listening from. Welcome. I don't have as much time as I normally do today because I'm squeezing in a client session whilst my other client's on his break. So I don't have as much time today, but I wanted to make sure that I did jump on live and keep my promise to show up live to you guys every Friday. So if you do have a question you want to ask me, don't hold back because I won't be here as long as I normally am. And if you're wondering why I'm not in my normal spot, as I was just explaining, I'm in the middle of, or almost at the end of this 4-day kind of, I call them a 4-day intensive, but it's not an intensive. It's not intense. It's anything but, where people come and spend time with me one-on-one. I do this with couples and I do this with individuals. So I've had a gentleman fly down from Sydney, and we met up on Tuesday morning, and we've been meeting up twice a day for a couple of hours a day at a time, all week. So he's flying home this afternoon. We've gone on, like I said, beautiful walks. We've had, we've just had these wonderful conversations, and it's been this lovely thing that's just unfolded for him over the 4 days. And it's just been beautiful. So I love doing these things. I get so much pleasure out of them, and it's wonderful to see someone's mind slow down and for them to really get some of the beautiful insights that I've seen this gentleman kind of occur in his life, and how differently he's now seeing things. So it's been really cool. So if you have just joined me live, please say hi. I always love to know where you are listening from in the world. Hi, Michelle. Hello. Thanks so much for saying hi. Central Coast of California. Okay, wow. I know you guys are in the middle of a drought, right? I hope that-that's kind of changing at your end. I really, really do. But thanks so much for saying hi. Anyone else out there who wants to say hi, please feel free to please feel free to jump in and do that. So I do have a question that someone has sent in to me, which I'm going to answer. And like I said, I don't have as much time today. So I'll answer this and then we'll see where we end up time-wise. But so I've had someone send me a question, and I'm going to read it out to you. And I think this is a great question because this has actually been something that I've been speaking to my client about this week, because he's had a long-term marriage breakdown, and he's been grieving over that, and amongst a couple of other things. And so, we've actually spent time exploring this very question. So it's always interesting how everything is so interconnected and related, isn't it? So he's saying, hey, Fiona, how do you begin to move on from unrequited love? I spent some time recently with a beautiful soul, the first time I wanted to spend time with a woman since the death of my wife in 2019. Oh, I'm so sorry that you lost your beautiful wife. I believe the universe brought us together for a reason. However, it seems it wasn't the forever love reason I had hoped. We seem to be on different trajectories and are now thousands of miles apart. I fell in love with her in an instant and had the most wonderful time with her over 6 weeks. And although she never really told me how she felt, we shared the most magical moments. Our intimacy was intense, although we never made love or even kissed for that matter. And I had rarely felt such bliss since the loss of his wife. Now I'm lost again. Okay, interesting question. I guess, one of the things that I've been speaking to my client about this week, and I'm not sure if this is going to help you, but I'm going to speak to that. Hey, Roz, thanks so much for saying hi. Hey, Carney Lee, hi, darling. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying hi. I do appreciate it. One of the things that I've been speaking to my client about is understanding that life is a spiritual journey. Okay, it really is. This is something people don't understand enough. And it used to be something I would often only speak about with my private clients, because people can really make that mean all sorts of things. But you have to understand life is a spiritual journey first, before it is a human one. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Life is a spiritual journey first, before it is a human one. See, from a human's perspective, we think it's all about us. All right, we think it's all about the human. And if you think about the needs of a human pretty much likes things to stay the same. They like to be comfortable. They want people to like them. They want to be able to tick the boxes that life says we need to tick in order to be okay. All right, this is what the human wants. Now, if you think about this from what we are looking for spiritually, on a spiritual level, we are looking to evolve and expand. This is what we're looking for, right? This is what we come here for. We come here to have experiences to evolve and expand. Okay, so think about it. There are times where something can happen in the life of a human that looks unfair, that seems very painful, that doesn't make sense, that is that can cause a lot of suffering for the human, right? And this is happening a lot in life, because life is a contact sport. There's always something going on. So when we look at something through the lens only of the human, it looks painful, unfair, and confusing to us, right? Confusing. And there are many times where I've looked through life through that lens, where it's looked painful, unfair, and confusing, and it feels like I don't deserve it. Okay, this isn't fair. I've worked hard. How come this has happened to me? And I've certainly had that thinking and those moments in my life where life has looked like it's really unfair and I don't deserve it, right? Or I've worked hard, that's not fair. I'm a good person, that's not fair. I tried really hard, that's not fair. I put my life, my heart on the line, that's not fair, right? It can really look like that. And you've got to understand, when you look at something only through the lens of our human, it can be very hard to understand. And because it can be very hard to understand, it can be very painful. Because remember, as you probably always heard me say, understanding is the pathway to change. Understanding is the pathway to peace. Understanding is the leverage point for many things in our life. And when we have a lack of understanding, this is when our suffering goes right through the roof. Okay, this is when our ability to move through something, to get over something, to come back to a place of equilibrium can feel like it's really impossible and hard. It can feel like the mountain is too high to climb. All right. And so we can get stuck and we can loop and loop and loop and loop. And so, this is quite common. A lot of people come to me where they're stuck and they're looping and they're looping and they're looping. Their minds are going very, very, very fast. They're reliving things over and over and over again, and they're trying to think their way out of a problem. All right, they're trying to think their way out of an experience. They're trying to think their way out of their pain or suffering. Okay, which is completely normal, understandable, and makes sense. So this is why it's so important to understand how we work as human beings, because when you have that understanding, you realize that thinking your way out of a problem won't help. It's impossible. Okay, you actually start to realize that there's a whole other way to show up to something. And you stop resisting your experience the way that you are. You have a lot more understanding, which brings peace and calm and enables you to move through something with more ease and grace and humility. These are some of the things I've been talking about with my client who I've been working with over the past 4 days. Okay, so what does that mean in regards to the question that this person has just sent through to me, that this man has just sent through? Well, sometimes in life, okay, when we don't understand what's going on. All right, when it doesn't look right, which is what this gentleman's just explained. When we suffer loss of something that makes no sense to us, when things don't work out the way that we thought they would, whether it be a relationship, whether it be our finances, whether it be a business, whether it be right our health, whether it be right where we go. And I've seen a lot of that this week. I've had a lot of those kind of conversations this week where people have said to me, this is not where I expected my life to be, Fiona. I did not expect to be, and as this gentleman said, I did not expect to be at this age and on my own. Or someone said, I didn't expect to be this age and renting a house. I didn't expect to be this age and starting over. This is a very common thread in conversation, right, that people have. I didn't expect to be feeling this way. This is not what I expected. Now, you've got to understand that life will always look like that when you look at things through the lens of our human mind, okay? But when you look at life through the lens of our spiritual nature, and we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, and what you've got to understand, life is about the soul first and the human second, right? The human is just the vehicle for the soul. Now, I know some of you might find that confronting or strange or weird, but it just is truth. Whether you believe it or not, that's just how it works. Life is about the soul first and the human second. And so you've got to understand the soul has very different needs to the human. The soul wants to expand. The soul wants to evolve. The human likes things to stay the same. Okay, doesn't like change, doesn't like being uncomfortable. So you have these moments, right, where say what this gentleman who's experienced, he's had this beautiful connection with someone, and now it looks like you're on different trajectories. And sometimes you've got to understand when we've met the need of whatever our soul's need is to expand or grow in a moment, we will leave a relationship for that because we've come to that point of expansion. We're not growing anymore for whatever reason. Okay, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. And this is why, if you're looking to get over something, you have to understand you won't necessarily find the answer through the lens of the human, because the human gets fearful and worried and holds on to things and starts thinking about how can I change this and how can I change that and how can I make that better and how can I get over this, and then they start thinking about things like, but why did this happen and why didn't it and why, how and why, okay? And then our minds speed up and we start churning through things mentally and emotionally. And as we do that, we get more and more and more stuck. When you start looking at things through the lens of expansion and evolving, because this is very, very important to understand, right? You either repeat or you evolve. You repeat or you evolve. Now, there is nothing right or wrong or good or bad with that, okay? Just understand there are repercussions of each. Evolving has repercussions or consequences, and repeating has consequences. And sometimes evolving is leaving something, right? Sometimes that's what's required. It may make no sense, but sometimes that's what's required. And so it's about, I think, in order to get over a painful situation where maybe things are not going the way you thought they would, okay, or it hasn't worked out the way you thought, and maybe you've tried your absolute best, okay, you've done everything you can, and it still hasn't worked out, okay? It still hasn't ended up the way you wanted it to, but you've tried so hard, okay? And I hear this with people, and so it's very confusing and upsetting, but I've done my best. I know. I've tried so hard. I put everything on the line. I know. And the things you've got to understand is trying your best and putting everything on the line is not a guarantee of anything, because there is this big unknown for all of us. The big unknown is that the journey of everyone's soul is different, okay? The journey is different. I mean, what we're wanting to do is the same. We want to expand, but the way in which we do that is different for everybody. And this is why there are things in life that simply don't make sense sometimes. Despite our best efforts, don't work out, because there's a bigger picture that we're not always privy to. And sometimes it's about accepting that there's a bigger picture that you can't see, and knowing that bigger picture is always striving for your greatest good, even if the human can't see it. There are many times in life where we are going to get asked to trust in something bigger than ourselves, to let go of knowing why and the how and everything else. And it's often, and I was talking about this with this gentleman around as well. This is part of the hero's journey of life, right? The hero's journey is the blueprint of most blockbuster films, they're all based on the hero's journey, every single one of them, okay? And there is a point where the hero has to let go of everything they thought they knew, let go and jump into the unknown. Happens to every single one of them, right? If you go back and look at every major blockbuster film, there is a point where the hero has had to let go and step into the unknown, face their worst fear and put it down. This is just a part of life. And it's because life is a spiritual journey first before it is a human one. And it's very important. People find it easier to navigate their way through life when they are trusting in something bigger than them, when they have faith in something bigger than them, when they're seeing the intelligence behind life, where they are looking at the spiritual nature of all things. We find it much easier to get over painful situations and to move through really difficult scenarios. Okay, so I guess my answer to that question, and for any of you who are going through something, is what is the lens with which you are viewing this through? You can't just view it through the human lens because it won't make sense. The human wants to make sense of everything, and some things just cannot be made sense of. Okay? And it's in that moment that you're being asked to trust, to let go, to put your faith in something bigger than you, and to partner with life. You know, this is why I say when it comes to our relationships, these three key areas are crucially important. Is your relationship with you, your relationship with life, and your relationship with others. People who struggle who don't have a great relationship with life find it hard to get over things. They hold on to things for years and years and years and years. They struggle to put things down. They struggle to let go. You know, part of our evolving in life and expansion is in being able to let go. And I mean truly, completely, and utterly let go. And be at peace with something that doesn't make sense, that doesn't tick your box, that's not where you thought you would be. It's a very big part of life. Believe me, I'm privileged and lucky enough to get to speak to people, all types of people, all day long. And this is everyone's journey in one way or another. And it's got nothing to do with age or wealth. I deal with a lot of very, very wealthy people who are just as unhappy as people who do not have money. Okay, so it's got nothing to do with those things. Anyway, everybody, I hope that that's helpful to you. Like I said, I can only jump on very quickly today because I'm in the middle of this intensive with a client, and I'm chatting to another client in between in the break that I have. So I hope that that's helpful. Hey, Peter, more pieces to place in my life's jigsaw, Fiona. The picture is evolving. Thank you again. Oh, my pleasure, Peter. I really appreciate the comment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That wherever you are in the world, remember, you are deeply, deeply, deeply loved, way beyond anything you can ever possibly imagine. You cannot get life wrong. Life is just about a series of experiences, okay, and how we meet them. We come here to have as many experiences as possible. It's not about right or wrong, good or bad, failure or success. It's really not about that. That's, when you're having that experience, you've got to understand you're looking at something through one lens. Life is meant to be looked at through a number of lenses here. And it's not just about the human lens, okay? There's so much more going on than what you can ever possibly imagine. Hey, Lisa, thanks so much for your comment, honey. Really, really appreciate it. I'm gonna have to fly, guys, but as always, I'll put the link to my Relatable program in the comments, because if you want a deeper understanding of what I'm talking about or what I've been reflecting on in this live, these are the types of conversations that I have or that we have with our Relatable students, and we look at all sorts of things, and people get an amazing sense of some of these lenses that I've just been talking about, all right? Because they are all part of your ability to be relatable, to do relationships well, and to show up differently in life the way that you've always truly wanted to. All right. Okay, everybody, lots and lots of love to you all. And yeah, I will see you next Friday. If you do have a question that you want to ask, just send it to hello@fionalukis.com.au and I will do my absolute best to answer it for you next week. Okay, take care, everyone. Ciao.